Hello everyone, this is our DC term project on the design of a 64-bit multiplier using the Vedic algorithm under a respected professor, Professor Gautam Shah, for the course of Digital Electronic Circuits. Our team members are Hardik Mohanty, Abhinav Jabesh, Chinmoy Chakraborty, Sunit Kamar Singha, and Sankalp Srivastav and myself, Shohini Roy. Our presentation specially deals with the multiplication of floating point numbers using Dada algorithm, which is implemented on the principle of Vedic maths. Multipliers are an essential element of all integrated circuits, and it forms an integral component of all the memory elements, and hence the design of high-speed multipliers are a primary requirement. So if we look into a brief history of multipliers, we'll get to know about the first compression multiplier, which was introduced by Wallace, in which he tried to reduce the partial product of rows by grouping into sets of 3-row set and 2-row set using 3,2 counter and 2,2 counter respectively. But then this approach was later taken by Dada to modify it in order to reduce the time complexity, and now what we have is commonly known as the Dada multiplier. The most basic form of multiplier that we have studied in our course is the array multiplication, in which we generate continuously the rows of partial products in a multiplicative table, and then we continuously add these partial products by using full adder circuits. But this, as we can see, implements an array sort of a structure, will increase the overall time complexity and hence is not very useful in high-speed circuits. So the primary aim of a good multiplier is to provide a very high speed operation and also implement a low power consumption unit.
This is Chinmoy Chakraborty and I'll be explaining the Dada algorithm. This is a brief introduction to the Dada algorithm. It was invented in 1965 by Luigi Dada. It is the fastest algorithm to multiply two numbers. It shares similarities with the Wallace algorithm in the sense that both have the same 3 steps and there are different weights associated with the multiplication products of the first step. It also has differences with the Wallace algorithm. For example, Wallace algorithm reduces as much as possible on each layer, while Dada algorithm attempts to minimize the number of gates used or the number of half adders and full adders used, as well as input-output delay. This also reduces the area occupied. Here are the steps to multiply two floating point numbers using Dada multiplier. First, we form the partial products by multiplying or logical ANDing the two multiplicants bit by bit, which results in a matrix known as partial product matrix. The multiplication products will have different weights. Then we reduce the number of partial products using full and half adders until 2 rows are left. Finally, we group the products into 2 numbers or 2 words and we add them with a conventional adder. The output of the conventional adder will be the product of the 2 numbers. This is the procedure to reduce the partial product matrix to 2 rows. We have a sequence of integers given by dj plus 1 is equal to floor of 1.5 times dj, with d1 is equal to 2. dj is the height of partial product matrix at jth stage. And we repeat the above calculation till the largest height is calculated, and then we find the smallest j for which at least one column of the original partial product matrix has more than dj bits. We move from the LSB towards the MSB, and starting from this j, we apply full and half adders to reduce the height of the column till no column has a height more than dj bits for this stage. Then we take j is equal to j minus 1 and repeat the above steps until the height of every column has been reduced to 2. Here is the dot diagram for an 8x8 Dada multiplier. The sequence has been calculated using this formula and it is 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, etc. For an n by m multiplier, we will choose the starting d smaller than the minimum of n by m of n and m. So for a 3x8 multiplier, we'll have d is equal to 2. For a 4x4 multiplier, d will be 3, and for an 8x8 multiplier, d will be 6. So coming to the dot diagram, we start with d is equal to 6 and we move from LSB to MSB. At every bit position, if the number of bits is lower than d, we move to the next bit. If the number of bits is d plus 1, As in this bit position, we use a single half adder to compress the d+1 bits into d bits, and we move on to the next position. If we have more than d+1 bits in a certain bit position, like we have here, in this bit position, we use a full adder to compress. The sum bit stays at this position and the carry bit moves to the next position. If we still have more than d+1, we use more full adders to compress, or if we have d+1 bits, we use half adders to compress, and then we move on. So we do not move on until the particular bit position we are at has only d bits left. And continuing this process, once we reach the MSB, we use the next smaller d in the sequence of numbers and we move to the next step. So this step has d is equal to 4, and we follow the same process here and ensure that each bit position has 4 or less number of bits. For the next stage, we'll have d is equal to 3. We do the same here. And then we'll have for the next step d is equal to 2. And we'll ensure that at each bit position, the number of bits is less than or equal to 2. This will give us our final 2 words. That is, for each bit position, the number of bits will be 2, which gives us the final 2 words, which will be fed to a conventional adder. The output of the conventional adder will give us the final product. The data algorithm has some advantages and disadvantages. The advantages being that it is faster, consumes less area, and the reduction phase is less expensive. The disadvantages are that the adders, the required may be slightly bigger, and it is more complex than Wallace algorithm.
Is an ancient algorithm used for multiplication. It is the best algorithm for binary multiplication in terms of area and delay. So let us see an example how this algorithm works. So in this example, the 4-bit binary numbers to be multiplied are written on 2 consecutive sides of the square as shown in the figure. The square is divided into rows and columns where each row or column corresponds to one of the digits of either a multiplier or a multiplicand. Thus, each bit of the multiplier has a small box common to a digit of the multiplicand, as you can see. Now, each bit of the multiplier is then independently multiplied, which is logically AND, with every bit of the multiplicand, and the product is written in the common box. Now, all the bits lying on the crosswise dotted line are added to the previous carry. The least significant digit or bit of the obtained number acts as a result bit, and the reset is the carry for the next step. Carry for the first step, that is the dotted line in the extreme right side, which you can see is taken to be 0. Now we can extend this method for higher order binary numbers. So let us take the quality of phases required for multiplication can be decreased. As a consequence, the speed of the multiplication is accelerated. Let us take an input is A3, A2, A1, A0 and B3, B2, B1, B0, and let the product be P7 to P0 and its temporary partial products be T0, T1, T2, T3, T4, T5, T6. So now we see how this algorithm works. So in stage 1, these are the multiplicand and the multiplier. So then we can see that in the stage 1, these two, the LSB parts are getting multiplied. So which is denoting by T0. T0 equals to A0 B0. Now in T1 part, we can see that the cross multiplication takes place, which is A1 B0 and A0 B1. Now stage 3 comes, which is this part, where we multiply A2 B0, A0 B2 and A1 B1. Similarly, we make it up to stage 7, where in the final part it is the multiplication of the MSB part, that is B3 into A3. We can see to the next slide. So we denotes the partial sum as S1 from T6 to T0, S2 from T5 to T1 and S3 is T3. Now we'll add them up. The adding will result as the final product we get, P7 to P0. This is the hardware architecture which is implemented for 4x4 Urdhva multiplier, where these are the inputs and this is the final output. So we are using 6 adder here. Now, as it is an optimized hardware architectures, it helps us to eliminate the need of 3 operand 7-bit adder and hence reduces the hardware and delay. So the adders are mainly connected in ripple-wise manner, and the expression of for product bit as shown here, where P0 is A0 B0, P1 will be the LSB of the adder 1, and that is will be LSB of A1 B0 plus A0 B1. Similarly, P2 will be the LSB of the first adder MSBs which we get as a carry, and A2 B0 A1 B1 and A0 B0. Like that, up to P7 will be the carry of the adder 6. Now for normalization and result, here we are using main three blocks, that is the sign calculator, the exponent and the mantissa part. So here we can use mainly floating point number, which is 32-bit format, where 0 to 22 are the mantissa, 23 to 30 is exponent, and 31 is the sign bit. So it has a wide range of application, like binary multiplication is most important operation in high power computing or image processing or signal processing. Thank you.
In this slide, we demonstrate the working of a floating point multiplier. The floating point multiplier comprises of four main sub-blocks, which are the sign calculator block, the exponent calculator block, the mantissa multiplier block, and the normalization unit. For the representation of the floating point number, IEEE 754 single precision floating point format is used, which represents a floating point digit in a 32-bit number format. In this representation, bit 0 to bit 22 is called the mantissa, bit 23 to bit 30 is called the exponent, and the bit 31 is the sign bit. In the subsequent slides, we will describe each of these sub-blocks in detail. We first explain the working of the sign calculator block. Inside this block, the sign bit or the MSB, most significant bit of both the multiplicand and the multiplier, are provided as inputs to the two-input XOR gate. The output of the XOR gate indicates the sign of the final resultant product. This is because when two numbers which are both positive or both negative are multiplied, then we obtain a positive resultant product, which is denoted by sign bit equal to 0. Alternatively, when one of the operands is positive and the other one negative, we will obtain a negative resultant product, which is denoted by sign bit equal to 1. This resembles the functioning of a XOR gate and hence justifies its use. Next, we describe the working of an exponent calculator block, which gives the exponent of the resultant product as its output. The exponent of a floating point number is represented as an 8-bit number from bit 23 to 30, according to the IEEE 754 format. Inside this block, the exponents of the multiplicand E1 and the multiplier E2 are added together using an 8-bit adder circuit. The exponents used are biased exponents, hence adding them will add the bias twice, and hence we need to subtract the bias from the result to obtain the final exponent result. The use of the biased exponents is essential to make the range of the exponent non-negative. For subtraction, the 2's complement representation of 127 is used, which is the value of the bias in our case. Next, we move to the mantissa multiplier unit. Inside this block, the mantissa part of the multiplier and multiplicand, which is from bit 0 to bit 20, is multiplied with the help of the Dada multiplier. Dada multiplier consists of three stages. In the first stage, the partial product matrix is formed. In the second stage, the partial product matrix is reduced to a height of 2. And then in the final stage, these two rows are combined using a ripple carry adder. For the partial product matrix generation, we make use of a shifting technique, which we explain briefly in the next slide. For the partial product reduction and addition, we obtain the final multiplication result of the mantissa, which is of length 46 bits. The final sub-block, which is the normalization unit, normalizes the final resultant product. A normalized number means that it has a leading 0 just immediate to the left of the decimal point. Next, the remaining bits of the floating point number is truncated to the length of 23 bits. This is done so that it adheres to the IEEE 754 single precision floating point format. Finally, as was mentioned in the last slide, we describe the shifting mechanism here. In this mechanism, we form the rows of the partial product matrix by simply observing the value of the multiplier bit corresponding to the row of the partial product. If the multiplier bit is equal to 0, then a row of zeros are copied down. Or else if it is equal to 1, then the multiplicand is simply copied and shifted to the left accordingly. This mechanism eliminates the use of AND gates and as no bitwise multiplication is required, which leads to a significant reduction in the design area.
Hello, this is Shohini, and I'll be explaining the circuital implementation for the DATA algorithm. So the DATA algorithm is basically an algorithm to multiply two numbers, but it performs a fast multiplication with slight improvement of the normal multiplication algorithm. So first let us look into the normal multiplication algorithm for any two binary numbers. Let us take the example of two binary numbers. Let us multiply 3 into 9. So the binary equivalent is 0011 for 3, and for 9 we have 1001. So when we multiply it, we multiply bitwise so that we generate the different rows for partial products. So the first row would be 1100. Next we shift one bit towards the left so that now we have 0, 0, 0 and 0. Once again we shift one more bit towards the left to get 0, 0, 0 and 0. And finally the fourth row is 1100. 11. So finally we add this. So 1, 1, 1. This is also 1. Okay. I'm sorry. This would be 0. This would be 1. This would be 1. This would be 0. So this would be 0. So as we can see, the normal multiplication will yield us 27. So here also we have this 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 16 plus 8 is 24. 24 plus 3 is 27. So our binary equivalent of this is 27. So now let us look at the circuital implementation of this DATA multiplier. So what actually we are doing in the normal multiplication is that we are generating each row of partial products and then we are adding these two rows. This is the normal strategy for serial multiplication. So we are generating these two rows and we are adding it. Once again we are generating one more row and we are adding it. And finally we are generating the last row in order to obtain the final result. But this is taking a whole lot of time because of the propagation delays of the various components and because of this repetitive addition operation which is being carried out. So what the DATA multiplier does is that it generates all of these partial rows at once and later adds them up in a different manner. So let us see how this looks like in a circuital implementation. So this is my circuital implementation in which we have taken two binary numbers 3 and 9 as is illustrated in that example, and then we are sequentially generating these rows of rows of partial products. So these partial products as they get generated are stored in the different registers here. With each of the coming clock pulses, the rows get shifted down. So when the first row is generated, with the first clock pulse, it gets stored in the first register. As the clock pulse goes, one bit shifts towards the right and once again we get the second row. Once again we get the third row, once again we get the fourth row. So all of these four rows are stored here. Next we have to perform this addition operation. So these are the adder blocks that have been implemented here in order to perform this addition operation. And finally we are getting the result which is in hexadecimal format. Since multiplication of two 4-bit numbers will yield a number which has a maximum of 8 bits, so we'll get a 2-digit representation of this. So let us check how this operates. So let us run this circuit. So let me put S at 1 and let me load this. So what is happening is we are loading the bits into this shift register. This is a shift register. So when S is at position 1, it performs the parallel loading operation. Now when S goes to 0, this loading operation has been done and now we are activating the shift operation. So now with each moving clock pulse, each row of partial product will be generated. They will move into these registers. Finally, they will get added up and will generate the result after 3 clock pulses, because 3 clock pulses are required for all the bits to get shifted and generate all the 4 partial rows. So let us check. So as we can see, the result over here is 1B. It is 1B because we are obtaining the hexadecimal equivalent. So if we can see, so here if we see that, let us take the first 4 bits. What is it? It's 1011, which means 8 plus 3, 11. So 11 means B. And here we'll have like one more 0 is there because total of 8 bits. So here we are having 1. So that is what is getting displayed there.
As we have seen the algorithmic part, so our input data would be of format S. S is the sign bit, E the exponent part, and F the Mantissa part. So before multiplying, we have to convert it into a scientific notation, where scientific notation refers to the format 1.m1 into 2 to the power E. M1 is a Mantissa and E represents the exponent part. The main idea is to get 1 here as an MSB. So before multiplying, the idea that we are using is, suppose it's example 011.1. So as we are observing 1 on the third bit, so we have to right shift this data by 1 bit such that this one will get here, this one will get here, this one will get here, and 1 0 would be appended at last. So this 4 bit will be our new data. So right shifting this one will get 11.10, and it can be easily converted to scientific format as 1.110 into 2 to the power 1. Second example, 110 and 1 decimal is here. So as you see, the MSB is already 1, so no need to shift it. It can directly be converted to scientific notation. Third example, if it's 1 here, like 0.001, so we have to right shift 3 times for this one to get it on the MSB one. So 3 shift will leads to the 1.000, and it can be compensated by into 2 to the power minus 3 to get the same value. So main idea is to get 1 on the MSB. Until then, if it's not, we have to continue right shifting. For that, I have used an mux for the if else condition, which will be deciding, the select line will be decided by the MSB bit. If it's 1, then our main output would be as it is the data, and if it's 0, it would keep on right shifting it. So for the right shift in our circuit, we are using right shift register, and to perform a right shift, we have to give a high to low pulse for that. So whenever S is 0, I've added a pulsar here. So this pulsar will be selected as an output. This pulsar will give a high to low pulse to the right shift register, and it would right shift by 1 bit our main data. Right shifting means what? 0 would come here, 1 bit would come here, 2 would come here, and another 0 would be appended here. So our main data would be the another bit and the 0, 1, 2. That would be a right shifting. So this would continue in a while loop until 1 is observed 3 times, and then if it's 1 as the MSB, output would be given. So suppose, so this is our main circuit. Input is taken with the parallel loading. So S is when kept it to 1, parallel load is done, and when S is kept to 0, it would act on a shift mechanism. DS is kept to 0 for the 0 bit to add on the append at the first side. This is a 2x1 multiplexer. The select line is the Q31, the MSB bit of the output. If it's 1, then it's fine. If it's 0, then on the I0 side, I've added pulsar, which will give a pulse. It would then give a clock to the right shift register. So suppose it's our data is 7, so 0, 1, 1, 1. So 1 is here, so 1 right shift would give 1, 1, 1, 0. So that is our desired output. Let's check for another output. Suppose our input is 1. So 1 is here. and right shift it 3 times would give 1 on the MSB side. So as we see, we are getting it 8, so it's fine. We are using a 4-bit, so bias is neglected here, but in a 32-bit the bias is 128. So we have to subtract 128 from E1 plus E2. So now we are adding the exponents. For calculating the exponents, what exactly we have to do? We have to check for the present decimal point and compare it with the main output decimal point in the scientific format. So suppose in our example, the input is taken in the fixed format, like 6,1 refers the 6 data, the 0, 1, 1, 0, it's 6, and 1 represents the position of the decimal part. Let's first from here, the one position from here. So 6,1 represents 0, 1, 1, 0, and 1 decimal here. So our input is 11.0. Now, as in our scientific format, we have to get our output as 1.10 to 2 to the power 1. So this is the required exponent. So for that, what we are exactly doing, we are checking for the first bit where the 1 is observed. So that position would be the place where we are actually expecting the decimal point. And we are having decimal point at the required position of P. Suppose we are letting it as P. So we have to just subtract it, the position of the required from the current position to get the exponent part. Exponent part basically represents the shift of the decimal. So 110, so here the first bit position is at 2 and position of the 1 is at 1. So 2 minus 1 gives 1, which is our exponent, which can also be seen from the scientific part. Similarly, in other example, 9,1, 9 is the data and 1 is the position of the decimal. So 1001 and first one, like from here 1. So 1001, it's 100.1. Now its scientific format would be 1.001 into 2 to the power 2. And calculating from our circuit, we see the first one is present on the 4th bit. So required position would be here. So that is 3. So 3 minus present position of our decimal point is 1. So 3 minus 1 gives 2. So 2 is our required exponent. The implementation of this circuit, we have taken data and position, and for calculating the first bit where the 1 is present in our data, the first, like the 1 which is present here, position, we are using a priority encoder. So the input to which will be data, the output will give the position at which 1 is present. So suppose 1 is present here, our output would be 3. That is third position from the starting. And position we have taken here, and we are using a subtractor for calculating the algorithm for the subtracting a minus b, the position, expected position minus required position. So this will give the exponent part of the first multiplicand. Similarly, we can do this for the second multiplicand and add those two exponents to get the exponent of the final output, which we will get after multiplying the two floating numbers. The circuit implementation, as you're seeing, this is the data one. This is the fixed point representation of the decimal point, up to decimals there. We are taking 2's complement here for subtracting and giving it to the adder, and we are giving this data to a priority encoder, which will give the output the first bit at which 1 is present. We are subtracting it. Similarly, we're doing second multiplication and adding it to the adding the both exponents to give the final output. So here, like 6,1, as we have seen in this part, it would give 2,1 as 1. So our exponent is 1, and the second would give 9,1. So second multiplicand will have exponent 2. So our main, if we will multiply this two numbers, so our exponent of the output would be 3. And adding them. Regarding the 4th point, S1 XOR X2, the sign bit, we have not added basically in our circuit because of the limitation of circuit maker, but we can easily add it by taking the two different inputs, the S1 and S2, and using a XOR gate, and we can show them as a separate output in a different like LED format. Now we are combining this exponent calculator block, Mantissa multiplier block, and getting our main output. We have already discussed our input format, like how it's inputting, like the data and the position of decimal point. 9 represents 1001 and 2 represents the position of decimal point. So 10.01 represents 1 0 that is 2 and 0 1 that is 1 by 4 that is 25. So these are two multiplicants that we are multiplying. This will be the shifting mechanism block for the first multiplicand that will be converting this data into our scientific format, which will be multiplied later in the Dadda's multiplier block. So these two blocks will be converting into scientific format. This is the right shift mechanism by right shift register, and this is the multiplexer that we are using. Similarly, the data are taken here to the exponent block. These will get the 2's complement of the position of the decimal. This will get this is the priority encoder. This will output the position of our resulting required decimal point, and these two will add to sum up the total exponent at exponent 1 plus exponent 2 to give our main exponent of the final output here. Now the Dadda's multiplier block. The two scientific noted representation of floating point that came, we are using a left shift register by inverting the inputs here, like D3 is connected to I0, so that the right shift register works as a left shift register. Now, instead of using AND gate for multiplication of bits, we are using a common sense, like if our data is if our multiplying bit is 1, then we are already copying the input data as it is, and if it's 0, then we are outputting at all bits as 0. So we are using a select line as the Q3, that is the first bit of that will be coming of our multiplier that we have to multiply. If it's 1, then our output will be the same as the data which is coming from here, the multiplicand 1, and if it's 0 0. These shift registers these registers has been used to get the 4 different partial products that would be generating after multiplying the 4 bits of this number into this number. Suppose this is A and this is B. So A0, A1, A2, A3 will be our multiplier, and this will give the last bit B3 into A0, A1, A2, A3, and this is B2 into A0, A1, A2, A3, this is B1, and similarly this is B0. Now implementing the level wise Dadda multiplier, that is, this is the level D equal to 3, that height of the numbers we have to get is 3 at max. This is the D equal to 2 and this is D equal to 1, and finally the result we are getting is the scientific format of the total of the final output. We have already normalized by taking this last bit to check if it's 1, then we have normalized it by adding into the main exponent adder as to get the final output as a scientific output, which is this normalizing unit. Now suppose let's see what our expected output would be. Like suppose our input is 9,2 into 3,1. So 9,2 is 10.01 and 3,1 is 0011 and first point decimal. So this represents 2.25 and this represents 1.5. So normal multiplying, they both will give our expected output as 3.375, which is the expected output. Seeing it through our circuit. So first we are loading them. This would load our shift mechanism and the exponent block. As we can see, it has converted into C and rest. Now we are loading the this shift register for multiplying it bitwise. Now we will be giving 3 ticks. As we see, the C is loaded here. So our output here consists of this, all the 4 bits, and we have now multiplied the first bit of this. Now for multiplying all the 4 bits, we will be giving 3 ticks for the 3 shifting, for the 3 left shifts, so that these all will contain all the 4 partial products of our multiplicand. Now, seeing at the final output, it's in the hex format. So it's, as we know, it's already in the scientific format. So our output is 6C1. Now converting and observing what actual answer it will be giving, So 6C1 is the output, 6 is 011.0 and it's in the scientific formats of 1.10 and C will be 1100 and 21. So this will be 1.875 into 2 to the power 1. So this will give 3.375, which is our expected result. Seeing for the next example, 1,3 into 5,2. As we see, our output is 50 and E. So as this was the exponent block and it's showing E, which means it's actually the 2's complement of the actual exponent that will be showing. So 50E represent 5, that is 01.01, the scientific format, and 0 the 000, and E is what? The 2's complement of E, that is -2. So finding it 1.25 into 4, that is 0.315, and finding it by the actual calculator, that this was 0.125 into 2.5, it's 0.3125. So this is the expected on our.
This term paper presents a fast floating point multiplier unit that supports the IEEE 754 single precision binary floating point number format. The term paper began with a comparison between Wallace and Dada algorithm and showed how the Dada algorithm not only reduces the complexity but also the hardware. The multiplier gives output in only one clock cycle and achieves a maximum frequency of 851 MHz and a 433 slice area in vertex 6 FPGA. For reducing delays in the formation of the partial product matrix, the left shifting technique is used instead of AND gates, resulting in a tremendous decrease in slice utilization. We use the Vedic maths sutra Urdhva Triyak Bhayam and the Dada algorithm to increase the speed of the multiplier. The speed of the multiplier is increased indeed, but the number of LUT flip-flop pairs used are also increased. We plan to extend our work for parameterizing floating point multiple units. Different blocks used were sign calculator, exponent calculator, Mantissa multiplier, and normalization unit. Hence, implementing the Dada multiplier, shift operation, and exponent generation circuits. Multipliers are used in most electronic industries such as digital signal processing, image processing, 3D technology, arithmetic unit in microprocessors, etc.